I'm not a pheasant plucker, I'm a pheasant plucker's son. I'm only plucking pheasants till the pheasant plucker comes. Okay, that's the poem. This well-known English poem. I think it comes from the 13th century, and the key is to say it as often, or say it over and over and over again like a mantra, faster and faster and faster. Okay, but still not to get to the point where you mix up the consonant groups, because what happens then is obviously hilarious. I think there can be no denying that what happens then is completely hilarious, and covers with red-facedness the person who is trying to say it and doesn't say it properly. But I think I've said it properly. I'm not a pheasant plucker, I'm a pheasant plucker's son. I'm only plucking pheasants till the pheasant plucker comes. There we are. But I'm not plucking it anyway, because it didn't get killed by the car in front of me. It managed to run away, as you saw.
In 800 meters.
But I'm sure that it was on a time like this when there were many pheasants and getting knocked over by, well, it wasn't cars in those days, it was horse-drawn carriages that would have knocked them over. But there was probably at a time like this that poem originates from.
Enter roundabout. Take second exit.
So we're at a place where Andover's Ford, known to Americans as Andersford,
roundabout. Take second exit.
is straight on Cirencester, which we explained to Americans ought to be pronounced Cirencester.
Drive 9.3 kilometers.
Here we are, Cheltenham, Gloucester and Ross-on-Wye, which I did once in a geography project in school. I had to draw a map of Ross-on-Wye. Why I had to draw Ross-on-Wye, I for the life of me cannot recall. But I did draw, from an Ordnance Survey map that was reproduced faithfully in our geography textbook, I did draw a reproduction to show, what the different Ordnance Survey map symbols meant, like what a church was, or, what a hospital would be. But the place that they chose for us to copy was, for some reason, and like I say, I don't know why, but it was Ross-on-Wye. And I don't even know why they call the River Wye Wye. Maybe Delilah comes from there, I don't know. Anyway, Cheltenham, or Cheltenham, is ahead, and Champnut, also known as Chint, is on the left. And we are well on our way to Cheltenham. The lovely colour on the road, and the fact that it's not a motorway makes it all the better. In my opinion, I don't like motorway driving as much. Whether I'm driving too slow for the people behind, I don't know, but I'm kind of okay and not far off the speed. I'm a little bit over. I'm about 4 kilometres per hour over the speed limit. I don't think it's saying anything, is it? I'm kind of like already well past the point where I take any notice, which is probably dangerous. I don't think it's saying anything much. So, very nice. I might save a bit of this battery for the time coming back. I've got to keep my mind on the road ahead, and maybe I'll save something for coming back. But really, oh, what's this? This is a seagull. It's a long way from the sea. This is probably, if you ask me where I am now in England, what's the closest place to the sea from where you are now, it'd actually be hard. I'd have to get the map out and measure it. I think it's a bit of away from the east. It's probably closer now to somewhere like the Bristol Channel, or, well, yeah, that'll be the quickest way to the sea from here would be the Bristol Channel, which I've fished in as a little boy. So probably I have been down this road before, but when my parents were driving and I was in the back seat, feeling ill because they were smoking when I was a boy. Annesford is coming up. Hazelton, Salperton and Brockhampton, Compton Abdale and Withington. It's the sort of thing you'd see in Jeeves and Worcester, isn't it? I say, my man, I say, let's go to Compton Abdale. I need to see my Aunt Teresa. Very good, sir. But do you like Jeeves and Worcester? Dear viewer, I'm sure there'll be some of you that will say yes, that you do like Jeeves and Worcester. Those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, it's P.G. Wodehouse. Fantastic. As with many of our English comedy writers, difficult to pin down to a specific timing. There was another pheasant, that was a hen. Difficult to pin down to a specific time, but largely 1920s probably, with spats and all of that stuff. But it's not very specific that you can pin it down to a particular year or decade, but one tends to, the language tends to call to mind more than 1920s. So it's 100 years old England, or England of 100 years ago, and drones or gentlemen of leisure, funded by the largesse of their uncles and aunts, and full of rather strange ideas, such as you need to, in order to gain kudos, you need to knock off policemen's helmets on boat race night and things like that. But it's great fun. It's a great escapism. And if you like the kind of humour you get on this channel, what? There was supposed to be humour here? Then you would certainly like to read Jeeves and Worcester, and you'd certainly like to read P.G. Wodehouse, because if you can tolerate me, then you'd find that very appetising. So, yeah, and if you want to just watch it, if you want to just watch the films of it, then Fry and Laurie, Hugh Laurie, known to most people now disappointingly as Dr. House, and Stephen Fry, known for trying to get people to boycott the Sochi Olympics over a very silly point, but who other than that is a tremendous author and writer. Other than that, small character fault on his part. Oh, Gloucester is this way now, so I need to go this way. Alright.
Take next left in 100 meters.
Gloucester, it's coming straight up. A436, yes, that's probably right. And Kilkenny. Kilkenny sounds like it should be in Ireland. Oh, and drove past Kilkenny today. Oh, I don't want to say what they'd say in South Park. But did you kill Kenny? Oh, why is this? It didn't turn off. Frog Mill Inn, isn't that fantastic? Frog Mill. Frog Mill. It sounds like a mill on the waters. All frogs getting in the way of the workings of the mill. They have to regularly stop it in order to save the frogs. Although they wouldn't have bothered doing that in the old days. The bits of frog would have just gone into the flour. They probably called that kind French flour. I'm still on the left-hand side of the road. Isn't that an achievement? Oh, look, there's another pheasant crossing. That was a hen, I think. Oh, it's dashed into the undergrowth. They're certainly out and about. And, yeah, Kilkenny. It really sounds Irish, but never mind, it's here as well. And Andersford and Dowdswell. Dowdswell. That sounds like a hymn tune, doesn't it? Sounds like the sort of place where Mr. Knightley would have gone on foot. Yeah? Oh, Mr. Knightley, are you sure that you want to go to Dowdswell on foot? The weather has taken a turn for the worse, and you shall surely have influenza. You shall catch a consumption. Fear not, I shall take myself there betimes in the morning. to walk until lunchtime and have a glass of refreshment at the inn on the way at the Kilkenny Inn, and then make my way on for the final kilometre, to final mile, not kilometre, they didn't have kilometres, to Dowdswell, and return in the afternoon with a pig that I will have purchased at the market. So, lovely vale, look at that, fantastic view there. I don't know if you can get it, I don't know if you can get all of that, but isn't that fantastic? Lovely vale, and I think that may be Cheltenham down there in the vale. And what's Cheltenham famous for? Probably people say, well, how can you be British and not know what Cheltenham's famous for? Probably there's some fantastic cathedral in Cheltenham that I should know all about. However, like I say, living outside of the UK most of my working life, if I did know it, I've forgotten it. On the other hand, I can tell you quite a bit about a lot of Europe, so it's fair exchange, I suppose. This seems to be some kind of big escarpment, very high up, and then the vale down there with, if this is the Cotswolds, then I can understand it. Quite Chilternish, but more grey stone walls and things like that. So it's very nice English countryside, you know. Anyway, I thought I was going to stop filming. Good job I didn't, isn't it, really? Although, having spoken for 26 minutes, this will probably be divided into several parts. Nevertheless, the battery still shows bang on full, so there we go. That's what I was hoping for from this battery. So I still have another one in reserve that I haven't even started with yet. But in order not to bore you with more battery talk, I will turn off and turn on later if anything comes up that wants to be filmed. Bye for now. It's kind of crazy, but the minute I turned that off, I got the most tremendous view. Wouldn't you know it? I should actually change the tagline of this channel from turn the camera on and something will happen to the more, Murphy's Law right phrase. When you've turned the camera off, something will happen the minute you turn the camera off and don't have time to turn it back on again. Because that's much more likely to be what happens.
Prepare to turn left in 300 meters.
This is one of your English laybys anyway. And there's North Cerney. What have we got?
Take next left in 100 meters, then next right.
Then next right, I see. Interesting. This is not trying to stick me on the M5 by any chance.
Take next right.
Hope not. Hope it's not going on the M5 immediately. I don't want that necessarily.
3.5 kilometers.
Oh, that's alright then. Oh, the M5 is only 6 kilometres away. I don't want to go on the M5. Yeah, Seven Springs Value Pub. Welcome to Sandford School. Oh, and leave with a future. That's nice, isn't it? They prepare you to have a future. Please continue to drive carefully. That's more polite than saying please drive carefully, because it insinuates that you haven't been driving carefully, which is rude. So instead of that, they say please continue to drive carefully. You've been driving carefully up to now, we know. We're willing to give you the benefit of the doubt at any rate. But just in case you should have a momentary lapse, we'd just like to remind you that careful driving is what we would like to look for and await and expect and anticipate from you. Therefore, please continue to do so. That's what that one imports. So, footpath signs, very nice. That's part of the English countryside, is all these footpaths. I'm always afraid to turn this off now, actually. I have to turn it off, but I'm afraid to do so because I'm expecting lovely views around every corner, which I want to share with you, and also immortalise for my own benefit, so that when I'm an old man and can't get out and about, I can relish my previous travels again. And the amount that I've actually filmed of it and put up to YouTube, as long as they don't take it down in disgust, is enough to actually last me through quite some time. If you actually were to make a Hollywood film collection as long as all of the stuff I've got on my YouTube channel, you would have, only consider I've got probably about 800 hours on the way, about 800 hours worth of stuff. Some of the stuff's about 3 hours long, of course, so that's what, and then there's others which is like 15 minutes or something. If you put it all together, maybe 700 or 800 hours of stuff on my channel. And if you think of a Hollywood film being between 2 and 3 hours, well,
prepare to enter roundabout in 800 meters.
it's like having at least, something like 200 to 250 Hollywood blockbuster films in terms of time. That's the equivalent of watching time that you've got if you wanted to watch everything on my channel. Some people have done it, but they're usually people that are unemployed. Not that there's anything wrong with that, it may not be your fault, but I think you have to be pretty much unemployed in order to do that, because otherwise how are you going to get the time to do it? I don't have the time to watch back my stuff at the moment. When I'm retired, I'll probably be able to do it.
Take second exit.
Second exit, that's interesting. Yes, I think I've got the wrong lane there somehow. And then this guy's coming round. I'm giving him a bit more of a... I better let you go first. I don't want to take this one. So this one goes to HR.
Take second exit.
And South Wales, this is this one, isn't it? So it's the second exit. The air balloon. The air balloon.
Drive 5 kilometers.
10 degrees. Low gear, keep in low gear. What do you do if you're an automatic? It's pretty bad, that, isn't it? Look at those colours, eh? If I'd turned that off, I'd be turning it on just for this. Ah, that's lovely, look at that. That's nice. That's really nice. And the light is lovely as well. I'm not sure whether that's coming up on this, but I can assure you that as far as the eye is concerned, this is very lovely light. Septic tanks emptied, serious. You cannot be serious. The ball was out. 10% again. Keep in low gear again. And dual carriageway ahead. That was really rather pleasurable. I don't know what those hills are ahead, but they're actually much more dramatic looking than the ones which is around where they call themselves the Cotswolds. Maybe that's the that's Wales, or I don't know. Or is there something called the Mendips? Is there something like that, or is that somewhere completely different? Forgive my ignorance. I've only got about a couple of miles to where I need to be, so I think I have to turn off now. I've got no choice in the matter. Can't go identifying my clients. So yeah, thank you very much for your Prinknash, isn't that interesting? For your company, and maybe see you a bit on the way back as well.